Hold tight, please.
When it first rolled out of the depot, the Bluebird was the shape of the future. Albeit a future which never really quite arrived.
It was built in 1932 for London County Council, and at that time it was built as a prototype, as a completely new design of tram, at a time when the trams were becoming seen as outdated, facing competition from buses. So they were looking for a new design, a more luxurious, comfortable vehicle for passengers. The press wrote of Rolls-Royce level of comfort for passengers, and the sign on the side says comfort for reading and smoking. So it was really advertised as a luxurious vehicle. The intention was it would be a prototype for a fleet of maybe up to 100 they were going to build, but because the policy of London, what became London Transport, then changed a year or so later, the fleet was never completed. So it's completely unique for the design.
When the capital closed its tramways, Number One ended up making a trip hundreds of miles north.
In 1951, it was sold to Leeds City Tramways, who were at that time actually looking to rejuvenate their fleet and add to get some newer cars in. So it ended up in Leeds 1951, and it ran there until 57 when it finished. It became a sort of stuffed and mounted museum display piece. Even back in the early 60s down in London, in the what was the precursor to the Transport Museum, and then eventually came back up to Christ, 72. It's just had this wonderful 10-year restoration, so 60 odd years later it's finally running again. It's beautiful. It is, as people keep saying, stunning. It's the design, the colour. I think it really is a one-off tram.
When we started taking the tram apart, we found evidence that it was clearly a prototype, because the workers at the LCC's works at Charlton had tried putting parts of the tramcar in place, then finding that they didn't fit and having to take them out again and reposition them. And the other thing we found in several places was chalk marks of panel measurements and positioning which had been put there probably around about 1930 and had been covered up. One of the guests that we had for our launch day was a chap who'd actually been a conductor on this tram in Leeds, because particularly during the summer they got university students in as relief crew, and we were very pleased to have him along to get a ride on it. To get to the point where we could actually bring it back to life was the really exciting part. And there were several people who came along who said quite clearly they never expected to see it restored to working order. The word that gets used quite often is stunning.